Hey, Dave from Stuff Outdoor Dads Like. Coming back to you with another review, this time with the Thule T2 Pro XTR-2 bike rack. This bike rack is a 1.25 inch hitch rack. They also make a 2-inch hitch rack, which frankly is a lot better if your vehicle accommodates that. For a car like this or my wife's Volkswagen Golf All-Track, that's not an option. So this is the 2 bike rack. One of the advantages of the 2 bike rack with a 2-inch hitch is that it can accommodate an add-on to go up to 4 bikes, which is really helpful with a bigger family. We're going to run into a problem pretty soon with 4 bikes because this one only is going to hold 2, and I kind of love my adventure mobile here that you can see another review about to see why I love this vehicle so much and why I'm not going to be trading it in anytime soon for a Rivian or something like that. So this bike rack, like a lot of the bike racks on the market, is rather expensive. This one retails for about $800, and you can get it on sale on REI typically in the fall and in the spring with their 2 gear up to get out sales in the fall, which is kind of going on now, and then there's another anniversary sale in the spring. So they typically have a coupon specifically for Thule racks or Yakima rack products. And again, I don't really have a preference over one over the other. I'll talk to you about some of the features I like about this rack, and then you can kind of look at what's available from OneUp or Co-Out or this rack, whatever. But that is a way to try to get these at a little bit discounted price. Even if they don't offer them specifically, there's normally a 20% off one retail item coupon that comes with those gear up to get out sales or whatever. So you can apply that to a big purchase like this. That's what we did for both this bike rack and also for the roof box that you see behind you. And you can see the roof box video separately also on my site. From this angle, you also can see some of the duct tape on the roof box where I backed into an Airbnb garage. More on that in that video. Okay, so in this configuration, you can see that I have my son's 20-inch kid bike on here, and then also have a fat bike. And one of the nice things about this rack is it accommodates bikes down to 20 inches in tire size and accommodates fat bikes. The only thing that was needed to get the fat bike on is you have to sort of move this rear tire holder to a different position, but that was easy to do on the fly without really any guidance from Thule. Just knowing that I could do it was easy enough to sort of sort it out, put it in a different latch, and then put it through. I've just left it in that larger latch spot since then, and it's worked just fine with my normal mountain bike and with my son's smaller Norco that's here. A lot of these racks work very similarly, where they have this arm that comes up and drops down and then hooks onto the tire. Some of the newer racks kind of fold in from both sides, which is great, but once again, these are pretty pricey items, so when you buy them, hopefully you're going to buy them to last for a long time. Some of the other features that come with this rack, so yeah, this is sort of how the rear tire wheel gets held on here, and then everything else is kind of suspended. The rack takes some abuse, especially in this car. You can see this car doesn't have a lot of ground clearance, and with it sticking out the back, this sort of large bulbous wheel, which allows this thing to get dropped down so you can open the trunk, can get in the way. It can take some abuse, but it seems to have been working out just fine without any problems. This also has a locking cable here that you can put through kind of the fork on this end and then wraps around like this. The key comes in from the bottom, which is a little annoying because it's hard to see. You have to really get your head down here to get in to see where that key goes. There is also a key where the hitch mounts in there, so that basically right now there's a wheel that unscrews it and screws it back in to make it tight in the hitch. And when you turn the key, the wheel just spins freely and doesn't engage, which works out great. As I talked about in the other video, and I'm sure there's actually an answer for this, but I didn't get all my Thule stuff keyed to the same lock, which at this point would be really helpful to get different locking cores for the roof box so that I could have one key that does everything. Now I have this like smattering of keys, which is super annoying, especially with Yakima crossbars with one set of keys, this with another set of keys, and the roof box with a third. But that's easy enough, and if you're buying sort of things in a more coordinated fashion, then you could get them all from one brand and one set of keys. In my case, those Yakima crossbars are close to 20 years old now, and so I think they've lived a good life, but they keep working and I keep not replacing them, so that seems to be fine. One of the other big advantages of this rack is the fact that it can drop out of the way to open your tailgate. So in that case, this big handle, which kind of sticks out, in my mind it's kind of ugly, but it does its job, lets this rack come all the way to the bottom. You have to watch out for the handlebar like we just ran into here. and then you can open your tailgate. With just one bike on, you can put it on the outside position and get some access to tailgate, or just be able to open it up a little bit if the bike rack's all the way up. Let me move this back up here. Okay. So that's kind of it. That sort of runs through the big features. The weight for this rack seems pretty heavy. I think, as I remember, it's like about 55 pounds for this rack, which seems comparable to other things. I was looking at one of the Coat racks, the Sherpa, if my memory serves me correctly, which is a little bit cheaper in price, but it didn't accommodate a bike down to 20 inches, which was, I knew, going to be a problem. And the rack was similar in weight. Also, the keys, I believe, were extra, or sort of the locking cables were extra. But a lot of these things you can determine if you really need the locking cable. If you're always going to go straight to the trailhead and straight home, maybe you don't need that. Or maybe you're just willing to put on actually a beefier lock than this, because this could be pretty easily snipped through, and someone could take your bike anyways. So those are sort of all the different options, I think. But this rack has served us very well and seems to be taking a pretty decent beating and has stood the test of time. We've had this rack since about 2019, 2020, so 3 to 4 years with this thing, and it's gotten some decent abuse. This year I just left it on the car all summer long. With it being a little bigger, it does get in the way of lowering the hitch. It is obviously easier to lower it down and up with no bikes on it, but that is one thing to, I think, evaluate. If you just have one bike, which probably means you're not on this channel because that's not really our target audience, but the One Up company makes a small single bike rack that stays out of the way of the trunk, or at least it seems to. Honestly, if money was no object, I might just leave that kind of rack on all the time, because I'm still primarily riding by myself. Having said that, as you can see, my kids are getting bigger, so I'm going to be riding with them more and more, and probably doesn't make any sense. But that's it. Dave from Stuff Outdoor Dads Like coming at you. Another review. Leave any comments, any ideas that you have in there. Thanks so much.